Dajiahao! Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of Shanghai A-Z. I'm Jim Schneider, and in this 26-part series, I'll be giving you an introduction to a variety of topics related to daily life, culture, and travel destinations in Shanghai, China. One new topic for each letter of the alphabet. In case you've never seen any of my videos before, allow me to introduce myself. I'm a writer, teacher, cultural explorer, and A-list celebrity. And by A-list, I mean the C-list. And by C-list, I mean Craigslist. And by celebrity, I mean user. I bought a couch on Craigslist once. Kind of. I went to go pick it up and the seller never answered the door, so a successful interaction by Craigslist standards. Needless to say, I'm not sitting on that couch right now. I'm sitting on a stepladder in my cozy apartment in downtown Shanghai, a city where I've spent a total of about 3 years, working as a teacher, studying Chinese, and just getting to know the surroundings and the citizens. Since this is the first episode, let me tell you what you can and can't expect from the series. First of all, there won't be any politics in Shanghai A-Z. There are plenty of YouTube channels that cover political issues and current events in China, and they do a much better job of it than I ever could, so I'll leave the politics to them. Secondly, there won't be any hardcore pornography in Shanghai A-Z, or for that matter, any softcore pornography. In fact, there will be no pornography of any core in these videos. As you may have heard, there are plenty of websites on the internet dedicated to nothing but pornography. However, this site and this channel ain't one of them. So, unless there's a very compelling financial incentive for it, you can forget about seeing me or anyone else perform or engage in any explicit sexual acts here. I won't even be taking off my shirt. Probably. Thirdly, there won't be any racism in this series. There will likely be some discussion of how I, personally, am different from the majority here, and what that experience is like for me, but none of that discussion will veer into racist, white supremacist, white power, anti-Asian territory. If that's the kind of thing that you were hoping to see here, then you can, what's the expression? Off. Oh, and that reminds me. You might hear the occasional damn swear word in Shanghai A-Z, but there won't be too many of those. I'll try to keep all that to a minimum. The naughty words have been beeped this time, but consider yourselves fully warned, you sons of bitches. Not every word I say will be 100% family friendly, but it will be friendly. So, my friends, you can think of Shanghai A-Z as a kind of infotainment program. Part info, part tainment. And while this one may run a bit longer due to this lengthy preamble, I plan to limit all the other videos to less than 10 minutes. Because I value your time. Final order of business before we get to our main topic. Please do hit that red subscribe button and subscribe to my channel, because I need your support to continue making the kind of quality content you're witnessing right now with your very own eyeballs and ear holes. It costs you nothing to subscribe, but it would mean everything to me. Thank you. All right, with the preamble out of the way, let's get to the amble. Shelter. Along with food and clothing, and maybe sex, depending on how cool you are, it's a basic human need. But shelter, accordingly, is such a basic word. And as you can see, Shanghai A-Z is anything but basic. So let's talk about shelter in terms of architecture, the art and technique of designing and building. Shanghai is home to a wide range of eye-catching architectural styles, some influenced by international approaches, and others totally unique to either Shanghai or China as a whole. The style of architecture that immediately stood out to me when I first arrived in Shanghai was Art Deco, and Paramount Theater in Shanghai's Jing'an district, which happens to be the district I live in, was the first Art Deco building I really took a shine to. Figuratively, of course. They have other people to keep it looking so fresh and so clean. Some of the most majestic Art Deco buildings in Shanghai are theaters. Paramount, Cathay, and the aptly named Majestic Theater all feature the bold geometric lines that define the Art Deco style. You can also recognize the elegance of Art Deco in the city's most famous hotels, like the Park Hotel, Peace Hotel, and Hongshan Hotel. Other examples of Art Deco architecture include the Rockbund Art Museum, Bank of China, and 99 East Nanjing Road, known as the Liza Building. These are buildings that went up in the 20s and 30s when Art Deco design and architecture were introduced, making them symbols of modernity at the time, as well as elegance. Now, they're not only nice to look at, but they can also project a sense of comfort and familiarity to the Western visitor who might show up in Shanghai thinking everything about it is going to be weird and totally different. Today's modern architecture on display in Shanghai is noticeably different from Art Deco. For one thing, it's taller, like a lot taller. Art Deco can also be tall, of course. The Empire State Building springs immediately to mind. But Shanghai's modern skyscrapers are relatively new additions to the city's skyline. The most famous of these are Shanghai World Financial Center, Jinmao Tower, and Shanghai Tower. Modern architecture is defined by clean, minimal lines, asymmetric designs, and the use of materials like steel, iron, concrete block, and glass, including floor-to-ceiling windows that provide lots of natural light to the interior. Even though the tops of these sleek buildings sometimes get lost in the clouds, they are practically impossible to miss. Shanghai also boasts a variety of religious architecture, some of which is located in the heart of the city. Jing'an Temple, for example, is just across the street from the previously mentioned Paramount Theater and is a frequent tourist destination, also visited by practicing or curious locals. Later in the series, we'll venture inside Jing'an Temple for a closer look. Industrious travelers can also explore the nearby Jade Buddha Temple and Longhua Temple. Longhua Temple is the largest and oldest of its kind in Shanghai. In addition to these Buddhist temples, guests are free to wander around a Confucian temple for a small fee, and you can also find historical synagogues, mosques, and Christian churches in various parts of the city, some of which are open to the public. After being overlooked for a number of years, one of Shanghai's most celebrated buildings is Wukong Mansion, a French Renaissance-style building located in an area known, fittingly, as the French Concession. The historic apartment building, said to be haunted, is reminiscent of New York's Flatiron Building and was completed in 1924. Along Shanghai's Huangpu River are two examples of neoclassicist architecture, HSBC Building and Shanghai Custom House, both of which feature impressive domes and columns characteristic of the style. They were completed in 1923 and 1927, respectively, and are two of the most recognizable buildings in an area populated by recognizable buildings. Other buildings with international influences include the Nordic-style Möller Villa, a former mansion turned hotel, built by a Swedish shipping magnate named Erich Möller in 1936, and the Stalinist Shanghai Exhibition Center, built in 1955, and symbolic of the alliance between China and the then Soviet Union. Interesting fact about Möller Villa, by the way. Swedish shipping magnate Erich Möller painstakingly assembled the mansion himself, using nothing but the materials sold to him in a giant box, an Allen wrench, and a set of baffling illustrated instructions. Hey, that's an IKEA joke for you. That is not a true fact. Now, when it comes to architecture that originated in Shanghai and was later imitated in some other parts of China, the best example is the Shikumen housing, a style that blends elements of Chinese and Western architecture and dates back to the 1860s. Shikumen literally means stone gate, named for the high brick-walled main gates which are, or were, a distinguishing feature. There are usually 2 or 3-story houses that look similar to Western townhouses. Although Shikumen-style housing has largely been demolished in favor of larger and more modern apartment buildings, examples can still be seen, and in some cases explored, mainly in the city's tourist areas, but some off the beaten path as well. Unless you're invited inside a private residence, your best bet at investigating the interior of a Shikumen house legally is a trip to the Shikumen Museum, well worth the price of admission, which is low, and the time it takes to tour, which is short. Along with these diverse styles of architecture, Shanghai has an incredible variety of interesting buildings that leave a lasting impression on those who actually bother to look up from their phones and pay attention to their surroundings. It has stunning shopping centers that dazzle the eye, including one that's a former slaughterhouse, and one that drew inspiration from Yellow Mountain, Huangshan, one of China's most beloved mountains. It has an art museum built to look like an ancient crown. It even has an evil building. Shanghai's architecture is truly one of the best things about this city. I never tire of exploring Shanghai's many neighborhoods in search of new architectural gems, new to me anyway, and also seeing something fresh in those buildings which had begun to look ordinary. There's always more to see, more to discover, more to learn about this place. And that's why I've decided to make this series, Shanghai A-Z, so that I can remind myself how much there is to discover here, and in turn, inspire others to dig a little deeper as well. So, get those shovels ready. With 25 more episodes to go, we've barely scratched the ducking surface. Ducking? A stupid autocorrect. No need to bleep that out. Anyway, now it's time for the postamble. I'm thrilled to announce that Shanghai A-Z has a number of high-quality sponsors lined up, one of which is an absolutely tremendous business, owned and bossed by my good friend Josh. I'm talking about Ascendia Sports, the premier website to book adventure sports activities around the world. From paragliding to skydiving to bungee jumping and so much more, Ascendia Sports makes it easy for you to book and try a huge assortment of fun and adventurous activities. Funtivities. Whether you're traveling in a foreign country or you just want to try something new and exciting wherever it is you happen to live, Ascendia Sports can help get your adrenaline pumping. Visit ascendia-sports.com today and see what adventures await you anywhere in the world. With Ascendia Sports, impossible is nothing. Oh no, I shouldn't say that. With Ascendia Sports, anything is possible. That's ASCENDIA-SPORTS.com. You can also find the link in the video description. And while you're booking, make sure you select Jim Schneider A-Z in the How Did You Find Us section, because that's what good people do. Add some excitement to your life with Ascendia Sports, people. Just do it. I shouldn't say that either. Just go check out the site. Go ahead. Go Ascendia. Okay, that's all for now. Thanks everybody for watching and liking and subscribing, and see you next time on Shanghai A-Z. So long, or as they say in China, bye-bye.